Hey guys, Johnson with GadgetByte here, and today we have the ASUS VivoBook S14, and this one here is the more affordable version of the ASUS popular lineup, the Zenbook. The model I have here is the S14 S430U, and this one here is a refreshed model from the last gen's S14, so let's see if this affordable version is still worth it or not. Let's get started with the design first, and the thing is, ultrabooks generally tend to look the same. They're known for their compact size, sleek looks, and lightweight, and this one here is no exception. It looks like any other ultrabook out there. It's got a mostly plastic build. Actually it's all of it is plastic, but with its brushed metal texture, it looks premium and feels that way too. The only thing that sets it apart is a bit of protrusion on the lid that extends a bit beyond the base. That raises the base of the laptop slightly when opened, which improves airflow underneath. It improves both the thermals and prevents your lap getting roasted from the heat. Plus, this means you can use it easily while laying on your bed too. Being a 14-inch model, it sacrifices a separate numpad but does leave out big spaces on the sides of the keyboard, which looks kinda unnecessary. The brushed lid texture attracts finger smudges quite a lot, but that's very common, so can't complain. At 1.4 kgs, this is not your lightest ultrabook. I like the ASUS Swift 5 more in terms of weight and portability because that thing weighed only like 970 grams. This, however, weighs almost half a kilo more than that. But being slightly heavy does give it a bit of more sturdiness because there's only a light amount of flex on the keyboard and on the lid as well. So you can say it maintains the balance between weight and sturdiness. Ultrabooks are not known for a great selection of ports, and this one tries to be. With 3 USB-As, one of which is a USB 3.0, a USB-C without Thunderbolt 3, an HDMI, an audio jack, and a micro SD card slot, the selection of ports is okay. But a micro SD port kinda looks a bit impractical because if you're into editing and stuff, I think an SD card slot would be more usable. Now when you look at the keyboard, it kinda gives off this cheap vibe. Maybe it's the hard silver color, I don't know, but I don't like how it looks. On the other hand, the typing experience is just the opposite. With ample key travel and good amount of spacing between the keys, typing is pretty comfortable. Also, there's good amount of tactile feedback on them. There's also a 3-level backlighting, but that doesn't look aesthetically pleasing. And the half-size arrow keys will take some time getting used to, but that's how ultrabook keyboards are. I also like the trackpad. Its surface is very smooth and tracking is fairly accurate. The size is also great for an ultrabook, and it does a good job with gestures as well. You also get a fingerprint sensor on it with Windows Hello feature, but that is optional though. Overall, if you don't judge the keyboard by its looks, then it's okay. As for the display, this one sports a Full HD IPS matte panel, and that seems to be like the de facto standard for ultrabooks these days. The screen here has got decent brightness levels and good viewing angles too, but this one is not bright enough to be used in well-lit or outside environments. The Color Gamut coverage is where it falls short. With only 57% NTSC Color Gamut coverage, this display might be too dull to be used for editing stuff. It is fine for working and media consumption, even gaming, for what games are playable, but this is not something I'd highly recommend for any kind of content creation. If you just use it for normal office usage and watching movies, there is nothing to complain about, however. One thing I like about the display is that the bezels on the laptop are fairly slim, and even so, the webcam is exactly where it should be, at the top. In the performance department, the hardware choice seems like a great one for an ultrabook. You get the latest 8th Gen i5-8250U processor backed by 8GB of DDR4 2400MHz RAM, and that should make for a zippy laptop on paper. But the bottleneck here is the lack of an SSD. Now you do get its SSD variants for a slightly higher price, but this model here only has an hard disk drive. And if you're coming for an SSD, then this will be very annoying to use. Get this for instance, if you're someone like me who opens your Google Chrome or any other browser first whenever you start your laptop, it'll take like 20 to 30 seconds to fully open it. So you need a bit of patience to work with it. But once it loads up, then it's fast enough. You can have like 15 tabs open on your browser and it still holds its own with other background processes running. Using Photoshop is also smooth enough, but I didn't do any video editing on it because of its color constraints, so no telling if it can handle that. Light gaming is supported by its dedicated GTX MX150 graphics with 2GB video memory. Now that is an entry-level graphics card, so don't think you can play a lot of games on it. Games like FIFA and CSGO can give you acceptable frame rates on medium settings, while PUBG is barely playable at the lowest of settings. Dota 2 runs okay, and other than that, there aren't many games you can play on it. And even that needs a lot of patience because you're loading your games from a hard disk drive and not an SSD, and that will take a long time to load. So do yourselves a favor and get the SSD variant if you're getting this laptop. Otherwise, even if you're getting the one with hard disk drive, then you can install an SSD because it does come with an M.2 slot inside. For an ultrabook, the battery is pretty average on it. You get a 40 watt-hour battery, and that's actually good for an ultrabook. But even so, I got only 4 hours of battery life at most with my standard office usage. Maybe it's the sluggish hard disk drive that eats up the power, because on the ASUS Swift 5, which has a slightly smaller battery of 36 watt-hours, I got over 6 hours of usage on it. But on this one, I did not even get close to 5 hours. So you will need to carry your charger around because it does not last your typical office day, but maybe the charger being as small as a mobile charger is a good thing for this one then. Plus, it's got a fast charging feature in it, which can charge your laptop fully in some 1.5 hours. That's something you don't get on many laptops, and having one is very convenient. Now, let's talk about something that's really disappointing in this one, the speaker. The speakers are not loud enough at all. I mean, if you have something heavy running in the background and the fans are acting up, the speakers are easily subdued. So if you're watching movies or maybe doing something with the speakers, listening to music, like that sort of thing, you wouldn't want to run anything heavy on the background. So to sum up, the ASUS VivoBook S14 is like any other ultrabook out there, but it is a bit more practical with this thermal design thing and enough ports and okay performance. But the thing is, this is not a very exciting device. I mean, nothing really stands out apart from its heat management sort of design that I've been talking about in this whole video. I mean, I cannot help but compare to the ASUS Swift 5 because these two have the similar prices, and I feel like the ASUS Swift 5 stands out due to its featherweight design and it does a lot of things better or similar to this one. However, if you get the SSD variant of this one, you might like it. This is the laptop to get if you're an office worker yet have to move around a lot. I would not recommend it for content creators because of the screen and color accuracy constraint, but for the regular layman who wants an ultrabook that looks good and feels premium, this can be a good enough choice. So that was it for our review of the ASUS VivoBook S14 S430U. Thank you for watching. Namaste.